This is SSPTV News, brought to you by Samsung Productions and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.
An important step has been made in turning this building in Hazleton into an indoor sports complex. That story and more next. Welcome and please make yourselves at home. This is SSPTV News, your place for 24 hours of your hometown news and information. My name is Ken Carr, and right now I'm going to read our local headlines from SSPTV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker. Governor Tom Wolf's announcement last week to close 2 state prisons by the end of the month has triggered concern by several state lawmakers, including State Senator John Udicak. Lisa Sugart has more.
On Friday, Governor Tom Wolf announced that 2 of 5 prisons would be closing. He called it cost-saving measures because of a serious budget deficit. Senator John Udicak is here now. Senator, I read remarks that you had made right after this. You were kind of caught off guard with this.
We were all caught off guard. The management, the employees at these state prisons, as well as all the legislators in Pennsylvania. 2 of the prisons on the list are in western Pennsylvania. 3 out of the 5 on the closure list are from northeastern Pennsylvania. 2 prisons will be closed, according to the governor, and the decision will be made by January 26th. That's 9 days from now. That is not enough time to make a prudent decision. Clearly, the Department of Corrections was not prepared to make this decision. This is being driven, I think, by the governor's budget address coming on February and trying to make a statement that he wants to cut prisons, not schools. I am also for schools and our children and have voted for historic increases in funding for education. But we still have to invest in our correction system. We still have to invest in law enforcement. We still have to deal with crime in our streets and our neighborhoods. The governor is making a judgment that we need to close prisons to save money. There has been no state agency over the last 5 years that is more aggressive at saving money than the Department of Corrections. We instituted reforms in 2012 that has led to $142 million in savings. Corrections reforms, judicial reforms, keeping certain offenders out of our state system, doing other kind of things to create cost efficiencies. When we closed 2 prisons in 2013, it added almost $50 million to the overtime budget of the state corrections. That's not how you get more efficient. We close down 2 more prisons, you may add another $50 million to the overtime budget. Let's create efficiencies, and we've made those tough choices in terms of implementing prison reforms, and we've seen the savings. We argue that the economic impact, particularly here in northeastern Pennsylvania, where you may have Frackville, Waymart, and SEI Retreat, which is in the 14th Senatorial District, that could be the loss of 1,000 jobs and $100 million to our economy. Think of what that does to our schools, to our businesses, the small businesses and contractors that support our prisons, and it would be devastating to the 1,000 families here in northeastern Pennsylvania that would be uprooted and have to find a way to get another job in the state system somewhere else 100 miles away from their home.
Now, you met with some of the employees from SCI Retreat on Monday. So tell us what came out of that, and where do you go from here now?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty and emotion. The 2 worst elements you want to introduce to the prison system are uncertainty and emotion. And that's both on the side of the state workers and the inmates. And unfortunately, this artificial crisis, it's a manufactured crisis. There was no pressure to close down prisons at the end of last year or talked about over the course of last budget cycle. This is a manufactured crisis to drive budget policy. It's not the way to treat state workers. It's not the way to treat the taxpayers of Pennsylvania. I have no problem sitting down at the negotiating table and working through tough budget decisions. We shouldn't do it on the backs of working families.
Well, we see prisons overcrowded everywhere now, so how big of a concern is that going to be?
Well, the prison population of Pennsylvania has gone down, but the operational capacity, which is what the Department of Correction wants to function at, SEI Retreat, for example, the operation capacity is 1,104 inmates. They are at 1,103 inmates. So you can't tell me that these prisons aren't needed. I don't want to get into a situation like we had several years ago at Camp Hill. We had overcrowding, led to a riot, cost $15 million, 60, 70 corrections officers got hurt in those riots. That's not how you manage corrections. That's not how you save money.
Where does this all go now? Are you going to sit down with the governor? What's going to happen? How are you going to solve this?
We have a bipartisan coalition of regional legislators. House members, Senate members, Democrat, Republican. We've also engaged with Congressman Barletta and our Pennsylvania delegation in Congress. In fact, Congressman Barletta met yesterday. We put together a meeting with Secretary Wetzel of the Department of Corrections and Congressman Barletta. Secretary Wetzel suggests that if they can get 2,000 federal inmates to fill state beds, that we wouldn't have any closure. We're working through that. You can't get those kind of decisions. You can't do your proper due diligence in 9 days, and the governor's going to make a decision on January 26th. So we are asking in a bipartisan regional coalition, suspend the decision on January 26th, let this go through the normal public vetting process, through the budget process, which will end June 30, at the end of our fiscal year. And if the decision is made at that time, we can understand that the public, state workers, and taxpayers have had their voices heard. You make a decision on January 26th, you're telling the people of northeastern Pennsylvania, we don't want to hear what you have to say about the quality of life in your communities, about the economy in your community, or about the workers that are putting their lives on the line every day going into those state prisons.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see if in fact that happens or what decision is made as of January 26th. We'll keep you posted. Thank you, Senator, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Senator Yudichak will be a guest on the Sam LaSanne Show tonight at 9 p.m. on SSPTV and SSPTV.com. The Greater Hazleton Chamber of Commerce is warning its members to beware of fraudulent calls requesting business information. Chamber President Mary Malone says members are receiving calls requesting contact information updates for their chamber listing. She says these calls are not authorized by the chamber. Rather, each year when a member's dues are paid, the chamber mails out a new membership sticker along with a membership information update form to fill out and return. The Hazleton Zoning Hearing Board has granted an exception that will allow a city warehouse to be converted into an indoor sports complex. The board granted the special exception to Vince Trivalpiece, a former Hazleton area high school softball coach. The zoning board denied the original request early last year. Trivalpiece then appealed the ruling to Luzerne County Court. The case was then remanded back to the city zoning board so it could consider additional information or evidence. Trivalpiece says in the zoning permit application that he planned to convert the empty warehouse and storage facility into a sports academy with indoor batting cages for baseball and softball. You can read more about the project in today's Standard Speaker and at standardspeaker.com. Well, even though our Giving Shelter campaign has officially come to an end, the generosity continues. Lisa Sugart explains.
I am very pleased to be joined by Rocco Aruzzo, the Business Development Manager at the Laurel Mall. You were so kind to participate in the Giving Shelter campaign, which was sponsored by SSPTV, the Hazleton Standard Speaker, our media partner, Catholic Social Services, and the United Way of Greater Hazleton.
Right.
And we came today because you had a well-kept secret that you had a stash of stuff that was donated, and you are pleased now to say you would like to donate this to the Divine Providence Homeless Shelter.
Yeah, a lot of people donated, and well, I guess it was a well-kept secret, right? We had the boxes out, and we had so much merchandise to give, and we were so pleased to do it. You know, again, the Laurel Mall being community-minded as much as we can, we wanted to participate, and we're glad we did, and we'll continue.
You had so many people donate an array of things. Mary Jo Pancala, who's the coordinator of the shelter, said they needed things such as paper products to serve meals. They need long underwear, coats, socks, blankets, even strollers came in. And if that can't be utilized by the homeless shelter, Catholic Social Services runs the shelter. So these items will all be donated. But you said something especially nice in that you're going to continue this even though our official campaign is over. You want people to drop off items here anytime.
Absolutely, Lisa. We do. They can drop off items any day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, in the mall office. We'll keep them and we'll get them over to Catholic Social Services or the homeless shelter. We'll continue to do it as long as you want us to.
The Laurel Mall, very community-oriented, whether it's blood drives, special services for veterans, the mobile that comes around, or different things. So you really want to help out the community.
We do. We do a lot. You know, you mentioned, you know, with the community, like the March of Dimes will be doing a craft fair coming up in the spring. We have the community carnival in the spring. I mean, there's so many things, and we like to participate. We want to be a part of the whole Hazleton area and let all our organizations know we are open and want to help them in any way we can.
Well, we say thank you for being such a successful part of the Giving Shelter campaign. We officially ended our part of the campaign, but it does continue. You can always drop items off at Catholic Social Services or the homeless shelter, but here at the Laurel Mall in the offices Monday through Friday, Rocco Aruzo, very pleased to take your donations.
Absolutely.
And again, together, as we do it all together, we can help make sure that everyone in need is well taken care of.
Thanks again, Lisa. What's better than watching SSPTV News? Watching it in HD on Service Electric Cablevision Channel 513. So do that if you can, please. Still to come on this edition of SSPTV News, a Dave Day so filled with local sports commentary you're going to need a sports drink when the Standard Speaker sports editor is done speaking. Stay tuned.
This is SSPTV News, brought to you by Samsung Productions and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.
Hey folks, welcome to this week's segment of Wild About Hunting. And this week we want to do things a little bit different than we've been doing, and we want to introduce you and take you a little bit more in depth to the team members here at Wild About Hunting. So joining me this week is team member Kevin Trapchak. Kevin, how are you, buddy?
How you doing, Dennis?
I'm
Happy
good.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Hey folks, Kevin's been with us now for 3 seasons since we started doing this and working towards getting on television for season 1. And tell me some of your memorable stories as far as what we've had to go through and what you've experienced since we started trying to go on television.
Well, there's been so much. I mean, we've done so much in such a short amount of time.
Right.
But the biggest memory so far was season 1 when we were filming for it, and I shot the biggest buck of my life so far. Mm-hmm. The best part of that was the recovery when I had my dad and my wife come out and help me recover the deer. Bam! Mm-hmm. And I can remember my wife complaining about all the camera equipment that she had to help carry. And I'm like, well, now you know how it feels when we have to carry it all out there. So she kind of got to experience, not just when she goes out carrying just a rifle, but carrying everything that we have to carry out.
Absolutely. We have a lot of gear that we have to carry out there. You filmed that whole hunt by yourself until it was time for recovery. And I remember you were texting us, and I got a big buck down, and we were all sitting in tree stands. We couldn't get out, so that was great that you were able to include family to do that recovery.
Absolutely.
And kind of going on that that's the theme of this season's show is Share the Passion. And that's something that you've had the opportunity to do this past season and getting ready for season 2, and that's filming your wife. How was that, being over her shoulder?
She was nervous. She's never been filmed before, but I've been able to coach her through it, and a lot of the things that I know to do, I can kind of help her out with it.
Right.
So it's made it a little easier for her.
And it's a little surreal that we get to call Christy your wife.
Yeah.
Because you guys just got married this past deer season.
Yeah, it was this whole year has been crazy between work and getting ready for the wedding and getting out hunting.
Yeah.
And taking a day away from hunting too for our wedding.
But it was a lot of fun, the wedding, where
Absolutely.
the setting was. It was an old barn. It was a really nice time and a great day for you guys. But you've had some other excitement here just recently in the late muzzleloader season. That was with your dad.
Yeah, that was it was funny actually, very comical. I got to sit behind the camera and not have to worry about hunting. Mm-hmm. I just got to sit there and film for him.
And he had a little frustration with the flintlock.
We had 2 doe come in, and they came right into the blind, 40 yards broadside shot, and all we heard was click.
Folks, if you've never hunted with a flintlock, when it gets moist outside in this late season like that flint doesn't necessarily spark to get that powder in the pan to go off, and they not have 1 click, but 2 clicks.
Yeah, there were quite a few clicks, and those
deer
got away.
And we had to do some bleeping, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
But hey, folks, Kevin Trapchak, team member, has been with us for 3 years. You're going to see a lot of him coming in the seasons ahead, and we'll see you next week somewhere in the hunting woods.
Time now for weather on SSPTV News.
Warm temperatures have been melting a lot of the ice we had around this morning, and the warm temps are going to stick around at least for a little bit. Here's our local forecast from the National Weather Service. Tonight, rain mainly before 1 a.m. Our low will be 42 degrees. We can have wind gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, we have a 50% chance of showers, cloudy with a high near 54 degrees. Thursday night, a 50% chance of showers, mainly before 1 a.m., mostly cloudy, low in the mid-30s, southwest wind 10 to 14 miles per hour. Friday looks partly sunny. It'll cool down a bit, high of 35 degrees. Friday night, mostly cloudy, low of 19 degrees. Saturday, 30% chance of snow as it gets cold. Once again, mostly cloudy, high of only 26. Saturday night, 30% chance of snow, mostly cloudy, low of 21. Sunday, the sun's back out, a high of 32. And then Sunday night, partly cloudy, low of 22 degrees. And off to our midday winning lottery numbers on SSPTV News. On the green screen, pick 260, pick 3029, pick 4 5343, and pick 506 508. We'll dive deep into local basketball and talk about some local wrestling when we come back with Dave Seaman, the sports editor at the Standard Speaker.
Time now for sports on SSPTV News.
It's Wednesday, and that means it's Dave Day on SSP TV News as the Standard Speaker sports editor graces us with his presence every week. And Dave, we definitely appreciate it as you bring your knowledge here with us. So let's start with local stuff now. Hazelton Area High School Wrestling, Dave, Wyoming Valley Conference champions, first time in a while. 3 champions, Jimmy Hoffman, Jake Maurer, and Carson Kinney. But what really impressed me, Dave, was the depth. 4th place, Charles Everdale at 120 pounds. 2nd place, Chris Lasecki at 126. 2nd place, Anthony Martuccio at 132. Jake Braulmeyer, 145. He was 5th. So was Jake Marnell at 152. Jeremy Aquino was 6th at 160. And then Shane Noonan, 3rd at 170. That's a lot of wrestlers to place, and this very good Hazelton area team we talked about in the beginning of winter sports season, they win the conference championship.
Yeah, when you have that kind of depth, you are going to do well in tournaments. When you have experienced seniors coming back, like the Jimmy Hoffmans and the Jake Marnell, or the Jake Mowers, and other people like Carson Kinney leading the way. Chris Lasecki's been in a lot of big matches too. A lot of those guys are battle tested. They come into the season, and the schedule plays into their favor too. I mean, you go into Bethlehem, you go into a holiday tournament there, you're getting experience there. You're at the Sheets Invitational at Mount Aloysius College. That's another big tournament too, and that prepares them as the season goes along. They get in the Wyoming Valley Conference. They're ready for war, basically, and they showed that this weekend.
Well, there's great days going on right now for the Hazelton area boys basketball program. Dave covers that team for the Standard Speaker, and on Friday night they went to Mountaintop. Dave, big win over their rival Crestwood. They had a slow start in a game before that against Wyoming Valley West, eventually pulled away, but the Cougars are doing it in impressive fashion right now in the conference.
Yeah, they're doing a lot with a lot of balance right now too. I mean, you can't really guard one player because another person will come back and hurt you. Their defense really stepped up in the second half of the Wyoming Valley West game, and they continued that against Crestwood. I like the way they were switching presses on the smaller floor up at Crestwood too, and it allowed them to take advantage of their length and their height too. Different defenses kind of confused Crestwood a little bit too. Crestwood committed 20 turnovers in the game, and the Cougars were able to capitalize on a lot of them.
And Dave, you talk about that defensive, I don't want to say adjustment, but I remember hearing Coach Joseph say in the second half of the Valley West game, raise your hands up. And it was incredible because it's like looking through a forest with all those big bodies. You said that was effective at Crestwood's small floor. Michael Casadas, Coach Joseph mentioned him in your article about him stirring the drink for the Cougars. And after that, I went back and watched some of the highlights that I recorded at the Wyoming Valley West game of Michael Casadas. And I've watched him for a few years now, but he is impressive. I mean, he facilitates in such an amazing way, and you don't always see it or maybe mention it.
Yeah, sometimes he tries to get a little bit too out of control, but I think that he kind of brings himself back, and I think Coach Joseph loves to have a point guard who's an extension of himself on the floor. Michael's been with the program now for 4 years, 3 years as a varsity player, 2 years as a starter. He gets what Coach Joseph wants to do, and he's as quick as anybody in the conference. His ball handling has definitely improved too, and he really didn't have to shoot much against Crestwood. He took the ball a couple times to the basket, but that's not his game. His game is to facilitate for everyone else, get everyone else involved in the offense, and he's also a trigger for their defense too, because his hands are so quick too. He gets one of those deflected passes, it's off to the races the other way. So Michael Casadas does do a lot for the team, but he's just one piece of a bigger puzzle.
As for the Lady Cougars, Dave, a few losses in the conference now, losing to Valley West and Crestwood, but they beat Pittston area in a thriller in overtime, and they had a big lead in that game. And I feel like I've seen this story before, where the Lady Cougars drop a few games maybe early in the conference season, only to come back and win the division. Is that a possibility with this year's team?
It's definitely a possibility. Wyoming Valley West right now looks a little bit head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the division, including Hazelton area. They put a good whipping on the Lady Cougars last week, but you get them down here the next time. Somebody else is going to have to beat Wyoming Valley West for Lady Cougars to have a chance at the division. But I know Coach Gavio well enough that his team's not going to quit as they go on through the season, and that was evidenced on Monday night when they went up to Pittston. For some reason, the Lady Cougars have always had success at Pittston area. It's been a place where they've played well, not only during the regular season against the Lady Patriots, but in playoff games. And again, on Monday night, yeah, they squandered a 20-point lead, but they had the wherewithal to come back and win that game in a tough gym to win.
And Dave, we've been talking a lot about Division III and the Schuylkill League boys basketball. Marion now really controlling their own destiny there after beating Mono area in overtime on Friday night. But Mono area too, a team I saw recently, Dave, we just did a story on, and if they could get clicking, it's going to be a very interesting finish in that division.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you can throw Shenandoah Valley in that mix too, because all three teams are, you know, they're going to be rivals to the bitter end this season. All of them are in District 11, Class 2A, so they're going to be seeing each other quite a few more times. Marion, they were able to hold serve, win on their home floor in the first go-round. Next time Marion has to go to Shenandoah Valley, and they have to go to Mono area. So the Colts will be tested, but I think this Colts team is a little bit better than they've been in the past. They've got more balance from their team, from their younger players, their older players. It's a nice mix of players right now. Again, they held serve. Now let's see what happens next time around.
Dave Seaman, he's here every Wednesday on SSPTV, and you can check out his stuff every day in the Standard Speaker.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's social news. First tonight, happy birthday to Stephen Bodner. He celebrated Tuesday. Love from your daughter, Emily Jean, family, friends, and all of us here at SSPTV. Tonight's Talk of the Town report, the Wilkes-Barre chapter of the NAACP will be holding their annual Martin Luther King Jr. Observance Program Friday, January 13th. The event will be held at the Wilkes University Miller Room at 6:30. State Representative Eddie Day Pashinsky will be the keynote speaker, light refreshments will be served, and the public is invited to attend. And one more quick announcement, Catholic Social Services Auxiliary has planned a night at the races to benefit the programs of the agency. The event will take place Saturday evening, January 14th at Catholic Social Services, 106 South Church Street in Hazelton. Post time is slated for 7 p.m., doors open at 6, and attendees must be 21 years of age. For info, just call 570-455-1521. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. SSPTV News would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Maurice D'Angelo of Hazel Township. Funeral is Wednesday at 8 p.m. from the Firo Funeral Home. Friends may call Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. John P. Galvin of Weatherly. Mass is Saturday at 11 a.m. from the Our Lady of Lourdes Roman Catholic Church. Friends may call Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. The Philip J. Jeffries Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. James A. Hunt of West Hazelton. Memorial is Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the John J. Pusti Funeral Home. Joan E. Knelly of Sugarloaf Township. Memorial service will be held at the convenience of the family. Friends may call Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Harmon Funeral Home. And Elizabeth Betty Jane Morrison of Upper Lehigh. Friends may call Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. at the McNulty Funeral Home. Attention pay-per-view subscribers, if you see your name right now on SSPTV News, you'll have 13 minutes to call in and win a free movie from Service Electric Cablevision. Our winner tonight is Joseph Konar of Drums. Joseph, if you're watching, give us a call, 570-455-7267, extension 104.
Paul Clifford, Cunningham native and Penn State Alumni Association CEO, not only went to the Rose Bowl, he was part of the big pep rally there and was on stage with Michael Motti and Kanjana Carter. We'll hear his story tomorrow. We'll see you then. Take it easy, everyone.